Queen Camilla has been thrown out of the palace in disgrace. A royal tribunal found her guilty of orchestrating events tied to Princess Diana's divorce and downfall. With new evidence, secret letters, and a betrayal exposed, the monarchy was forced to choose: protect Camilla or protect the truth. The hidden operation that changed everything. It began quietly in March 2025. Behind closed palace doors, Prince William approved a classified operation. Its code name, Operation Orchid. Its target, not a foreign enemy, not a political scandal, but the single most untouchable subject in royal history: the truth behind Princess Diana's 1997 death. The investigation focused on the 72-hour window leading up to that fatal night in Paris. What started as a memorial review quickly turned into something darker. Buried files resurfaced, including a sealed legal dossier from 2003, long forgotten, never publicly released. Inside were troubling irregularities in Diana's security protocol, including sudden reroutes, missing surveillance logs, and redacted contacts between royal offices and private contractors. But what changed everything was a string of internal Clarence House emails. Some were routine, others weren't. One message, dated just hours before Diana's crash, included this chilling line: "Are you sure the escort can wait?" The sender, Camilla Parker Bowles, not yet queen, but already moving behind the curtain. Further forensic recovery of surveillance data revealed shocking edits. Escort teams reassigned, delays inserted, and a pattern of obstruction, all centering around August 29th to 31st, 1997. The operation found one encrypted folder labeled Legacy ISI, a code phrase now linked to coordinated communication between Clarence House staff and outside security teams in France. It was hidden in an archived directory, never referenced again after 1997. "It wasn't just mishandling," said a senior royal investigator. "It was staged confusion." William kept Operation Orchid completely off the books. Only Princess Anne and 2 legal officers were informed. The king? Not yet. Camilla? Absolutely not. This wasn't an accusation. It was preparation, and the first step in dismantling decades of denial. But then came the voice, one recording, one undeniable confirmation. And suddenly, Camilla's role was no longer a suspicion, it was a sentence. The voice that broke the silence. The world changed again on August 29, 2025, exactly 28 years to the day after Diana's death. At 9 a.m., an MI6 whistleblower released a file. Encrypted audio, long buried, but now authenticated. The voice was unmistakable. It was Queen Camilla. Her voice wasn't emotional, it was direct. "Make the changes before she leaves the hotel. Keep the escort minimal. I've confirmed it's non-attributable." The date of the call? August 30th, 1997, just hours before Diana's motorcade left the Ritz Hotel in Paris. A damning timeline came into focus. The escort detail was reduced, then rerouted. A second unit meant to follow was reassigned. Emergency response windows were narrowed by 8 minutes, enough to explain why help arrived so late after the crash. Then came the emails, tied to Clarence House, labeled with the same internal code, Legacy YSI. A term previously dismissed, now understood to be planning language, royal language, betrayal, disguised in protocol. It was no longer just a tragedy, one insider whispered. It became a betrayal, timed, planned, controlled. Camilla's words were the key. They changed the timeline, rewrote the story, and for the first time in history shattered the official narrative around Diana's death. But the most devastating blow came not from audio or emails, it came from Diana herself. A letter locked away for decades was about to rise and expose what she feared most. Diana's letters rise from the grave. In June 2025, a safe was opened in Althorpe House, Diana's childhood home. Inside were 2 unpublished letters, their ink slightly faded, but the message sharp and haunting. Forensic teams authenticated them within hours. Both were written in Princess Diana's own hand. The first letter, dated October 1996, was simple, yet unsettling. Camilla has more power than anyone believes. She doesn't wait, she moves. The second, marked June 1st, 1997, was even more chilling. The envelope read, "To be opened if anything happens to me on this trip." Inside, Diana wrote, "If I'm hurt or silenced, it will not be an accident. Read this and look to Clarence House." The language was cautious, not paranoid. The tone was calm, but the content explosive. At the same time, Operation Orchid cross-referenced these letters with previously sealed palace communications. One internal Clarence House email, dated May 31st, 1997, referenced a strange phrase, "Execute destabilization ahead of itinerary window." The subject line, Paris Contingency, LSI, a direct match to the mysterious Legacy ISI phrase uncovered earlier. Metadata confirmed it. The letter and the email were sent within 18 hours of each other. "It's no longer a conspiracy," said a royal investigator. "It's corroborated fear." Further searches uncovered that Diana's private secretary had attempted to flag concerns to a senior figure in the royal household in July 1997, just 2 months before the crash. That message was archived and never acted on. These letters weren't emotional outbursts. They were strategic warnings, evidence that Diana felt a threat inside the family and feared Camilla's influence above all. Prince William, after reading the letters in full, reportedly said, "She wrote it to protect herself, and we ignored it." But someone hadn't ignored it. Someone had been watching the money. And in July 2025, Princess Anne quietly followed the trail that changed everything. Princess Anne exposes the money trail. While the world focused on William's next move, Princess Anne was already 2 steps ahead. In early July 2025, she launched a covert investigation with her personal royal auditor. The target? Financial ties between Clarence House and a Paris-based contractor. Within days, they found it. A $2.4 million transfer dated August 1997 from an offshore account registered to a shell firm tied to Clarence House. The recipient? Lucentia Global, a discreet logistics company with one known client, the Ritz Paris. The company's service record showed one critical entry, escort rerouting contract for August 30th, 1997. The very night Princess Diana dined at the hotel. Then came the email. It was from Camilla's aide, stamped Clarence House, August 29th, 1997. The subject? Final assurance required. The body? Delays are non-attributable. Proceed with Lucentia. All points confirmed. It was cold. It was specific, and it was undeniable. Anne didn't hesitate. She went straight to King Charles and laid out the evidence. Payment records, emails, routing confirmations. He sat in silence for several minutes before finally speaking. "Do what must be done," Anne nodded. She already had. She connected the dots. No one else would have dared. The Queen had been exposed. The trail was complete. Now it was William's turn, and what he did next shook the monarchy to its core. He wasn't just the heir anymore. He became the enforcer. William makes his move. Royal arrest warrant issued. On July 16, 2025, Prince William made the boldest decision of his life. Hidden from public view, inside a sealed chamber at Kensington Palace, He signed a royal warrant of arrest under the Crown Integrity Act, a constitutional move never before used by a future monarch. The charges were staggering: treason, conspiracy, and manipulation of state assets tied to the unlawful death of Princess Diana. The document was precise, deliberate, and final. At 2:15 p.m., royal protection officers arrived at Clarence House. Queen Camilla was seated for afternoon tea. When the lead officer read the statement, she reportedly froze, looked up, and said just one word: William. Moments later, a private call was placed to King Charles, who had also signed the warrant just hours earlier. His aides said he was trembling, his voice nearly gone, as he whispered, "For Diana, for the truth." Camilla was escorted under heavy guard to Balmoral Castle, placed under palace confinement in the East Wing. Cut off from public duties, stripped of decision-making authority, and removed from all royal communication channels. Her power was gone. Her title was in suspension. The monarchy, for the first time in decades, had turned inward and acted. A brief statement was released by Buckingham Palace that evening. Her Majesty Queen Camilla will withdraw from public duties, effective immediately, due to ongoing constitutional matters. But the truth had already spread. By nightfall, #JusticeForDiana was trending in 32 countries, and public support for William surged. He hadn't just challenged a royal, he had confronted a generation's buried grief, and he wasn't done yet. The trial that tore Westminster apart. On July 24th, the doors of Westminster Hall opened to the most extraordinary event in modern royal history: the public trial of a reigning queen. Camilla Parker Bowles, once queen consort, was now the accused. The charge: her connection to the circumstances leading to the death of Princess Diana in 1997. The trial unfolded under intense security. Camilla refused to testify. She sat in silence, surrounded by royal guards. But the evidence didn't need her words. Over 2 days, the tribunal reviewed explosive material: internal emails, bank transfers, encrypted planning files, and the now infamous voice recording, where Camilla had confirmed instructions for escort changes just hours before Diana's crash. Then, Prince William took the floor. In front of the entire hall, he read one of his mother's final handwritten letters aloud. "They want me out of the way," Diana had written. "If anything happens to me, look to those closest to your father." The silence in the chamber was crushing. Not even the reporters moved. The verdict came quickly. Guilty. The sentence: permanent exile, immediate seizure of royal-linked assets, and removal from all titles, responsibilities, and privileges. The monarchy didn't collapse. But Westminster did. Parliament erupted. Protests and celebrations mixed in the streets. William emerged from the hall, grief and strength etched across his face. "We failed her," he said, "but not forever." Exiled to the Isle of Skye. On August 2, 2025, Camilla was officially removed from royal grounds and sent into permanent exile. Her destination wasn't public until it leaked: a remote estate on the Isle of Skye, one of the most isolated corners of the British Isles. It was a cold, grey stone property with no staff beyond security and one cook. Surveillance was live 24/7. No internet, no unmonitored calls. This wasn't retirement. It was a royal sentence. Her confinement was funded strictly through personal Parker Bowles assets, not a single pound from the monarchy or British taxpayers. Everything she once controlled, from royal patronages to media handlers, was gone overnight. Her royal accounts were frozen. Her calendar wiped. Her name removed from internal palace documents. Even her family was not spared. Her children, Laura Lopes and Tom Parker Bowles, came under immediate scrutiny. Investigative reports linked them to secondary accounts and communications tied to Lucentia Global. Within a week, both issued statements of resignation from their public roles and stepped away from royal-related charities. Camilla's exile was not ceremonial. It was total. From queen to prisoner, she was erased from the system she once controlled. The secret pact between Charles and Camilla. On August 9th, a confidential document was leaked from within Parliament. Its title, Protocol 97. The contents shook the monarchy once again. The document revealed a hidden agreement made between Charles and Camilla in the aftermath of Diana's death. Signed in late September 1997, it granted Camilla full protection from legal and institutional fallout, in exchange for her silence and cooperation during the early years of Charles's reign. The language was specific, clinical, but the meaning was devastating. It showed that Charles knew, or at least strongly suspected, Camilla's involvement in events surrounding Diana's final days, and he covered for her anyway. In a private journal entry tied to the protocol, Charles had written, "I loved her enough to protect her, even when I feared the worst." The public reaction was immediate and brutal. #ProtectDiana exploded across platforms. Parliament sessions were interrupted by protests. The media didn't hold back. Editorials asked the question, did Charles trade the grief of his sons for the survival of his relationship with Camilla? For the first time, sympathy for the king evaporated. This wasn't just about what Camilla had done. It was about what Charles allowed. And now the cover-up was exposed. Catherine secures Diana's legacy for Charlotte. On August 18, 2025, deep within the ancient stone walls of the royal vault at Windsor, Princess Catherine made a decision that would echo across royal history. She walked in alone, carrying a sealed envelope she had kept hidden for months, one marked in careful script, "For Charlotte, from your grandmother, through me." The handwriting was unmistakable. It was Diana's. Catherine had received the letter from Prince William at the height of the Camilla crisis. He had kept it locked away for years, unsure when or if it should ever be opened. But now, with the truth laid bare, with the monarchy shaken, Catherine knew the time had come. Inside that vault, surrounded by centuries of royal artifacts, portraits, and secrets, she made her move. One by one, Princess Diana's personal heirlooms were reviewed and reassigned. Her sapphire engagement ring, her favorite tiara, her handwritten journals, her private letters, even her charity correspondence, all were transferred into a newly created legal entity, the Wales Legacy Trust. The trust was written in Charlotte's name, not just as inheritance, but as protection. From now on, Diana's possessions, likeness, and legacy could never be used by the crown or palace for ceremonial, commercial, or public purposes without explicit family consent. It was a legal wall, a permanent safeguard, a mother's memory, guarded by a granddaughter she never met, and a daughter-in-law who understood exactly what was lost. Every detail was officially logged and signed by the Royal Legal Council. And when Catherine stepped out of that vault, she wasn't just a princess. She had become something else, the protector of Diana's truth. In just 72 hours, over 400,000 letters, emails, and handwritten notes flooded into Kensington Palace. People from across the UK, Commonwealth, and the world didn't just thank Catherine, they stood with her. Because what she had done wasn't protocol, it was personal. There was no press conference, no palace photographer, no formal announcement. Catherine didn't need one. She had just done something that no monarch, consort, or heir had ever dared. She formally reclaimed Diana's voice, not for the institution, but for the family, for the daughter who carries her name, for the woman who had been betrayed and silenced. She did what the crown never had the courage to do, one insider whispered. She ended the silence. That day, Catherine became more than the future queen. She became the moral anchor of the monarchy, the bridge between its greatest failure and its only chance at redemption. And through her, Diana finally had peace. The people deliver their final verdict. By August 24, 2025, the grief had evolved into something greater, a nationwide reckoning. What started as quiet gatherings outside palace gates and city centers swelled into a tidal wave of remembrance across the United Kingdom and beyond. They called it the Diana Marches, but it wasn't protest, it was tribute. In London, Bristol, Manchester, Edinburgh, Cardiff, and Belfast, streets overflowed with mourners. Not shouting, not demanding, just walking, with white roses in hand and candles glowing in the dusk. There were no royal banners, no Union Jacks, only Diana's face on homemade placards. Photos of her holding hands with AIDS patients, walking barefoot through landmine fields, comforting the lonely and unseen. Her truth had returned, and this time, no one could erase it. Millions joined, families who had watched her in the 80s, women who saw their own silencing in hers, young people who never knew her but felt the injustice echo through time. The mood was unified, unshakable. The country had seen enough. The numbers told the story. 81% of the public supported the verdict against Camilla, and 74% placed direct blame on King Charles's silence for allowing it to stretch decades. Then came September 1st, the day that changed everything again. The 28th anniversary of Princess Diana's death. Early that morning, Princess Catherine and Princess Charlotte made a quiet, unannounced visit to Althorp, Diana's final resting place. No security briefing was made public, no press allowed. Only one single image was released later that evening. It showed Catherine, dressed in dark blue, kneeling beside her daughter. Charlotte, in a white coat, held a single white rose. They placed it gently on the grass above Diana's grave. No words, no caption, but the image spread like wildfire. It was on every front page the next morning. Millions reposted it. Millions wept. That night, the palace confirmed the launch of the Diana Charlotte Legacy Fund, an initiative Catherine had personally designed to honor Diana's causes: women's mental health, child safety, and charity reform. In just 4 days, it raised over £12 million, all from private citizens, with donations flooding in from more than 46 countries. It was a movement. Across Britain, the people no longer asked who their queen was. They decided. Not Camilla, whose silence now symbolized disgrace. Not even Charles, whose legacy was cracked by avoidance. It was Catherine, the woman who never needed a crown to earn the people's trust. She stood for dignity, for justice, for memory. She didn't just marry into the House of Windsor. She rebuilt what it nearly lost. The monarchy had weathered the storm, but in the hearts of the people, there was only one woman they now trusted to carry Diana's light forward. And her name was Catherine. Diana's voice was finally heard. Camilla lost everything, and history, at last, chose the side it should have all along.